Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. We have an exciting news story to share, so let's jump right in. It all started with a seemingly innocent night out that took a drastic turn when my wife Olivia decided to seek excitement in bars and flirtations, rather than the peace of our home. This choice set off a chain of events that irreparably damaged her career, reputation, and our once solid marriage. I stood back, allowing her actions to unfold, believing that sometimes the best lessons are learned through experiencing the consequences firsthand. Before delving into this tale of betrayal, heartache, and eventual redemption, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. If you enjoy the story, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell for our latest updates. Olivia, a 33-year-old residing in San Francisco, found her life mirroring the city's fast-paced hustle and bustle. On the outside, she had it all: a thriving career as a senior. As a high-ranking marketing executive at one of the city's top firms, Olivia resided in a modern apartment within a towering high-rise that offered stunning views of the bay. She was surrounded by friends who admired her seemingly flawless life. However, despite her numerous accomplishments, Olivia couldn't ignore the growing sense of emptiness that consumed her. This void extended to her personal life, especially her relationship with her husband, Alex. Although Alex was a caring and reliable partner of 8 years, he seemed to be slipping away from her. Olivia's hectic work schedule, frequent business trips, and constant social engagements had become her escape, causing her to overlook the small gestures of affection and intimacy from Alex that long ago had meant so much to her. Their marriage had deteriorated into a monotonous routine, leaving Olivia with a sense of guilt for neglecting the connection with the person who still held a special place in her heart. Olivia felt the most cared for. On a particularly hectic Thursday afternoon, she found herself in the office kitchen, swirling her third cup of coffee of the day. The harsh fluorescent lights hummed softly, casting a clinical spell over the workspace. Standing next to her was her colleague, Nicole, who sported a sleek smile. "Come on, Olivia, just one drink. It's practically the weekend already," Nicole urged with a spark of excitement in her voice. Olivia hesitated, her fingers dancing on the rim of her coffee mug. The idea of going out was alluring. It had been a long time since she had indulged in a night out. Free from the weight of work and marriage, glancing at her phone, she noted the time. Alex would be waiting at home, expecting her to fulfill the commitment she had made. The thought made her stomach churn. "I'm not sure, Nicole. Alex wouldn't be pleased if I went out tonight," Olivia mumbled, guilt creeping into her voice. Nicole rolled her eyes, clearly unimpressed. "Come on. He'll be fine. It's just one drink. You deserve to relax. You've been working tirelessly." Amanda hesitated, gazing out the window at the bustling city below. The vibrant lights and sense of freedom called to her, contrasting with the weight of her responsibilities. With a deep breath, Olivia placed her coffee cup down and made a choice. "Okay, just one drink," she said, forcing a smile to subdue any guilt that arose. Following Nicole out the door, she couldn't help but feel excited about the prospect of an evening free from worry. Little did she anticipate that it would be a night that altered everything. Olivia hurries after Nicole as they exit the office, her thoughts in disarray. She had vowed to Alec that she would prioritize their time together, come home earlier, and be more engaged. Yet tonight, she felt the pull of her own desires stronger than ever, torn by her desires pulling her in the opposite direction. Olivia was exhausted, weary of fulfilling her role as a responsible wife, a diligent employee, and a woman who seemed to have it all but felt an emptiness inside. Stepping into the cool evening air with the neon lights of the city twinkling before them, Olivia sensed the allure of freedom beckoning from the cityscape. It offered an escape from the confines of her marriage and the stifling weight of societal expectations. As she imagined the bustling streets, the laughter resonating from every bar, and the sense of connection she often yearned for in her own life, she longed for that exhilarating rush of independence. "Just one drink," she murmured to herself, as if speaking the words aloud would make her decision easier to embrace. Despite feeling guilt, she found herself irresistibly drawn to the excitement and spontaneity of the moment. After all, it was only one night, a small act of rebellion against the encroaching monotony that plagued her daily existence. Nicole led the way into the inviting glow of the Golden Vine, where the vibrant energy and noise enveloped them. As Olivia walked into the Golden Vine with Nicole by her side, she felt a sense of relief wash over her, releasing the tight knot of tension in her chest. Tonight was all about enjoying herself, if only for this one evening. Stepping inside, the sudden shift from the outside world to the vibrant atmosphere of the bar was striking. The low lighting, the hum of conversations, and the pulsating beat of the music enveloped her like a comforting hug. It was as though she had entered a different reality, a world where she could shed the weight of her responsibilities and failing marriage, and simply be free. The lively ambience of the crowd provided a welcome distraction, allowing Olivia to momentarily escape the troubles brewing at home. The bar exuded a vivacious energy, inviting her to fully embrace the night ahead. Leading Olivia to a high-top table near the bar, Nicole's eyes danced around the room. "You've still got it, Olivia," she remarked with a smirk, leaning in. "Half the guys in here can't take their eyes off you," turning her gaze away from the onlookers. Olivia's lips curved into a sleek smile as she surveyed the room, reveling in the admiring glances. It had been a while since she felt this self-assured. "What can I say, some of us are just born with it," she quipped, her playful tone floating through the air. As the conversation meandered and the drinks took effect, Olivia felt the burdens of her day dissipate. In this moment, she shed the confines of her lackluster home life. Here, she was liberated. The pulsating music reverberated in her chest, infusing her with a sense of vitality she hadn't experienced in weeks. The night at the Golden Vine unfurled in a whirlwind of laughter and melodies. However, a shift occurred as Olivia's focus was captivated by a tall, self-assured man at the bar. His easy smile and inquisitive gaze swept across the room, exuding both curiosity and assurance. When their eyes locked, Olivia couldn't ignore the softening of his features and the magnetic connection that enveloped them. A palpable spark electrified the air, drawing her inescapably towards him. Nicole, always the observant, Servant 1 playfully nudged Olivia as she glanced over at Chris, a mischievous grin on her face. "Looks like someone's caught your eye," she teased. Olivia felt her heart pick up speed, but brushed it off casually. "Just innocent fun," she responded with a light tone, though she couldn't deny the excitement of being noticed amidst the distractions of leaving everything behind. Without hesitation, Chris confidently approached their table, cutting through the crowd with ease. "Hey, I'm Chris," he greeted warmly. "What brings you here tonight?" Olivia flashed a grin, settling back in her seat with a playful sparkle in her eyes. "Just here for some fun like everyone else," she replied effortlessly. Nicole, the ever-mischievous friend, raised an eyebrow and winked at Olivia. "You've still got it, huh?" Olivia chuckled, feeling more at ease. "Guess so," she quipped, enjoying the playful exchange. The conversation continued effortlessly from there, with Chris and Olivia trading light-hearted banter. Olivia and Chris engaged in playful banter, both enjoying the attention they were offering each other. Olivia was relieved to be with someone who was focused on her rather than the obligations waiting for her at home. Their conversation was light-hearted and diverse, covering topics such as travel, music, and favorite city spots. As the night progressed and the music shifted to a more intimate tone, Olivia found herself engaged in a deeper dialogue with Chris. Their connection seemed to deepen as their laughter transitioned into more meaningful interactions. In a fleeting moment, Olivia experienced a spark of connection that she hadn't felt in a while, a simple, uncomplicated bond. Eventually, as hours passed, Chris smiled and leaned in slightly, his voice softer. "I'd love to take you out sometime. Can I get your number?" Olivia hesitated briefly, a tinge of guilt flickering in her mind. However, the allure of the night and the thrill of the moment prevailed, and she responded with a mischievous smile. "Sure, but it doesn't mean anything," she said, her words carrying a lightness that belied the small uncertainty pang in her chest. Chris chuckled, his smile widening. "I'll give you a call," he promised. Olivia nodded, feeling a rush of adrenaline as she tucked her phone back into her purse. The night wasn't over yet, and there was still plenty of fun to be had. But deep down, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that things were beginning to slip from her control. As the night wore on, Olivia found herself caught up in the energy of the bar, enjoying the attention and the freedom that seemed to flow effortlessly. The laughter, the music, the carefree vibe. It was a welcome distraction from everything at home. But as the evening began to wind down, she pulled her phone out of her purse, the screen lighting up as she checked the time. It was already late, and the thought of Alex waiting for her at home nagged at the back of her mind. Her thumb hovered over the screen, scrolling through. There were no messages from Alex, no calls. The absence of communication weighed heavy on her, amplifying the silence between them. It felt as though she could almost hear the unspoken disappointment lingering in the air. At home, a twinge of guilt tugged at her, but she quickly pushed to the side. Olivia reassured herself that it was just one night, nothing to feel guilty about. Alex would be okay. Leaning against the counter, her thoughts repeated like a mantra in her mind, hoping to alleviate the guilt that lingered. She reasoned with herself, convincing that she wasn't in the wrong, just enjoying a much-deserved night out. This was their routine, a brief time apart for some enjoyment before returning to normalcy. With a nonchalant gesture, Olivia placed her phone back in her bag. The music enveloped her, conversations buzzed around her, and in that moment, she allowed herself to be engulfed in the thrill of the night. As Olivia eventually returned home, there was no looking back. A sense of unease washed over her as she approached the house. The usual porch light that Alex always left on for her was off tonight, signaling a departure from their usual routine. This small gesture of welcome was absent, leaving her with a feeling of foreboding. As she hesitated at the doorway, a surge of anxiety gripped her heart, alerting her to a sense of wrongness in the atmosphere. The once comforting home now exuded a hollow silence, a stark contrast to its usual vibrancy. Entering cautiously, she anticipated the familiar background noises of the house, but was met with an unsettling stillness that weighed heavily in the air. Despite calling out for Alex, her voice seemed swallowed by the void, eliciting no response. The quietness only intensified, fueling her growing concern. Moving through the house with a sense of urgency and dread, she traversed the hallway until arriving at the kitchen. There, a meticulous arrangement of papers on the counter and a velvet box nearby immediately drew her attention. Olivia recognized the significant items, causing her breath to hitch in her throat as a wave of emotions washed over her immediately. She was faced with the box that once contained her engagement ring, a symbol of a promise she had repeatedly failed to keep. Her hand shook as she reached for the letter lying next to the box, and a growing sense of dread enveloped her with each passing moment. Slowly unfolding the letter, the words pierced her like ice-cold knives. The message addressed to Olivia from Alex expressed his pain and exhaustion from waiting for her to prioritize their relationship over destructive habits. Despite numerous broken promises and a lack of trust, respect, and commitment, he had held on, hoping for change. But now, Alex had set a final ultimatum for Olivia to meet him at the Pinewood Suites room 304 on Friday by 5:00 p.m. to salvage their marriage. If she failed to show up, it would signify her decision, and the divorce papers were prepared. Olivia struggled to digest the harsh reality as the shock clouded her vision and stole her breath away. Ruth pondered as she read the letter, the heaviness of Alex's words sinking in with each line. She had pushed him too far, taken him for granted, and all her promises and self-deception had led to this point. She glanced at the divorce papers before her, now undeniably real. She hesitated to touch them, her hand freezing just above the stack. The gravity of Alex's decision loomed in the room, suffocating her with the weight of her actions. The silence of the house felt oppressive, her mind racing without clear direction. She understood that Alex had grown tired of waiting, and though she tried to deny it, the inevitable truth loomed large. She made her choice, and now she had to confront the consequences. The next morning, Olivia struggled to come to terms with the letter from the night before. Its impact still weighed heavily on her, but she refused to fully acknowledge its reality. She crumpled the paper in frustration, her mind unable to fully process. Jers molded the letter into a shape that mirrored the chaos churning within her. Instead of feeling like a final farewell, came across as an empty threat. Could Alex truly be serious? She tried to dismiss the notion as a mere intimidation tactic. It always comes back, she reminded herself, clutching onto the hope that he would forgive her once more, as he had in the past. She refused to believe that he would give up so easily. It wasn't in his character. Intent on avoiding the harsh reality, Olivia decided to push the situation aside, if only temporarily. The day flew by in a flurry of diversions, and before she knew it, evening arrived, and she was on her way back to the Golden Vine with Nicole and a few companions. Back at the bar, she slipped seamlessly into its familiar routine, where she could pretend that everything was unchanged and all was well. The comfort of the familiar music and the energy of the crowd helped drown out the nagging voice in her mind, reminding her that she had crossed a line in the absence of any sign of return. Olivia sipped her drink at the bar, muttering to herself while surveying her surroundings. "Is this how you plan to mend things, Alex?" She lamented, the bitterness evident in her tone. Though she could almost hear the pain in his voice from the letter, she resisted letting it affect her. Instead, she reclined in her chair, willing herself to unwind. The comforting thrill of attracting attention from others calmed her unease. The persistent thought that he would eventually come back dominated her mind. As the night progressed, Olivia tried to push aside the weight of reality, but she couldn't evade it forever. With each passing day, her resistance waned, though she still refused to acknowledge the truth of Alex's choice. Convincing herself it was merely a facade, she believed Alex couldn't truly sever ties with their shared life. Engaging in work, social outings, and time with friends, she evaded the reality, finding solace in the Golden Ven place where she could numb the growing anxiety that crept in at night. But deep down, a quiet fear gnawed at her. That evening, after another late night out, Olivia walked back into her apartment with the same sense of reluctance. The door creaked open, and as she stepped inside, a sharp chill ran through her. Something felt different. The apartment seemed emptier than before, quiet, almost too quiet. Her eyes scanned the familiar space, and that's when she saw it. Another letter on the kitchen counter. With a sinking feeling, Olivia dropped her purse on the table and walked toward the letter, her hands trembling. She knew exactly what it was before she even picked it up. Alex's handwriting, familiar but now painfully distant, stared back at her. She tore it open quickly, not wanting to read the words but knowing she had no choice. As her eyes moved across the paper, the finality of Alex's decision hit her like a punch to the gut. His words were cold, precise, and unforgiving. "Olivia, you didn't show. I hope this makes it clear. I'm not coming back. The account is closed, the papers are filed, and I've left the house key under the mat for the realtor. The house will be listed next week. This is goodbye, Alex." Olivia's breath caught in her throat, her chest tightening as the weight of the words sank in. She had missed her chance, and now it was too late. The reality of Alex's absence settled heavily in the pit of her stomach. She was truly alone. The next morning, Olivia's phone rang, breaking the uneasy silence that hung in the air. She glanced at the screen, an unfamiliar number. With a deep breath, she answered, hoping it was a distraction from the storm brewing in her mind. Even the sound of her voice had her spinning at her current pace. "Mrs. Tower," the voice on the other end said, formal and distant. "This is Sarah Parker from Reynolds Law Firm. I'm calling to confirm that your husband, Mr. Alex Tower, has filed for divorce. We will be proceeding with the necessary steps shortly." Olivia's heart skipped a beat. Following her divorce, the woman was taken aback by the unfamiliarity of the word and struggled to process the news. As she fumbled for words upon hearing the news, her thoughts raced, and she felt the weight of finality wash over her. It was not just a disagreement or a temporary rift. Alex had made his choice and was no longer a part of her life. Feeling unsteady, she ended the call and immediately turned to check their financial situation on the computer, hoping for some sense of security. However, upon accessing their joint account, she was met with a frozen message count that left her heart sinking. Trying to find solace in her personal account, She discovered it nearly empty, with a balance much lower than anticipated. Feeling shocked and crestfallen, Olivia was confronted with the harsh reality that Alex had been planning this move for some time, highlighting the depth of his hurt and resentment. The realization that she had taken him for granted and pushed him too far weighed heavily on her as she grappled with the consequences as the divorce proceedings commenced. The weight of Olivia's choices pressed down heavily upon her, causing her world to crumble in the courtroom. Representing Alex, attorney Matthew Reynolds meticulously laid out a compelling case against her, leaving no room for doubt. He carefully detailed Olivia's years of neglect towards the marriage, instances of betrayal, and the difficult decisions that had led to this moment. Olivia sat in disbelief, feeling the impact of each word from Matthew as he spoke with a tone of cold certainty. In his statement to the judge, Matthew stated that Mr. Tewart had taken necessary measures to secure his financial stability following years of being disrespected in the marriage. These steps involved redistributing joint assets, maintaining a record of Miss Tewart's expenses, and providing evidence of her extramarital affair through texts, emails, and photos. Olivia was stunned as the evidence unfolded before her, each piece serving as a stark reminder of her errors. She had never anticipated that Alex would take such decisive, is diligently keeping a record of everything, taking charge of his own future. In contrast, she had lost control, her affair with Anthony Burke serving as undeniable evidence of her betrayal, despite initially considering it a brief mistake. Over time, Olivia's professional career suffered a decline, with her once private life becoming a topic of discussion among colleagues. Whispers and rumors followed her in the corridors, her once confident demeanor at work now replaced by humiliation. The speculations spread rapidly, exposing her errors to all. One day, her manager requested her presence in his office. With a strained smile, Olivia entered, already anticipating the impending conversation. Her boss began speaking in a measured yet firm tone, acknowledging her years of valuable contributions, but also noting the impact of her personal life on her professional performance. It was suggested that she take a step back to focus on resolving the situation. Olivia felt her heart sink as the weight of her decisions bore down on her as Olivia nodded silently. A sense of resignation settled in her chest. She no longer had the strength to fight against it. Her carefully cultivated reputation was now in ruins, and the truth could not be avoided. Walking out of the office, it felt like it could be the last time she would be there. The realization hit her hard. She had fallen so far from where she used to be. Her life, once full of promises of success and stability, now felt like an empty shell. The repercussions of her actions were extensive, and with each passing day, she felt the true extent of her losses. The woman who seemed to have everything now had to face the aftermath and rebuild a shattered future. In her new life in a small one-bedroom apartment, Olivia was constantly reminded of her mistakes. The space was devoid of the warmth and familiarity she once knew, starkly different from the home she shared with Alex. The silence within those walls echoed the absence of laughter and shared moments, emphasizing the emptiness she now faced. The freedom she had once craved now felt suffocating, turning into a form of confinement. Every night as she lay in bed, the weight of her actions. Olivia felt the weight of her choices pressing heavily on her chest as she desperately sought to fill the void within her. Attempting to move on, she embarked on a series of dates with men who initially appeared charming, attentive, and eager to know her. However, each new relationship fell short, lacking the spark she longed to reignite. As she compared these shallow connections to the deep bond she once shared with Alex, Olivia came to the realization that the love she once had taken for granted was truly irreplaceable. The evenings spent seeking solace in the vibrant nightlife, which had once been her escape, now felt more like a temporary distraction rather than a source of comfort. As the allure of her former escapes dwindled, Olivia found herself at the bar, drink in hand, feeling disconnected from the lively world around her. The once energizing atmosphere now seemed hollow and empty, failing to uplift her spirits as it once had. Amidst the noise and chatter, a deafening silence echoed within her, a stark reminder of the love she had lost and the vibrant life she had once known. Slowly, Olivia began to accept the harsh reality of her situation. The man who truly loved her was gone, leaving an unfillable void in her heart. The house she had once built for herself had crumbled, and she was left to face the wreckage of her own making. No amount of fleeting fun or temporary distractions could undo the damage she had caused. She was alone, and the weight of that truth was something she could no longer ignore. Months passed, and slowly, Olivia began to rebuild the pieces of her shattered life. The road to recovery was not easy, and the weight of her past still lingered, but she knew she had to start somewhere. She found a job at a small boutique, working long hours to occupy her mind and distance herself from the heartache that had defined her recent past. The quiet routine of folding clothes, helping customers, and managing the small tasks of the shop became her anchor. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave her a sense of stability she desperately needed. She also started seeing a therapist. At first, the sessions felt awkward, like peeling back layers of a wound that had never fully healed. But over time, she began to understand herself better, uncovering the motivations behind her actions and embarking on the journey of self-forgiveness proved to be a challenging yet essential process for her. Gradually, she began to find clarity. Alongside therapy, Olivia rekindled old interests she had neglected for years. She resumed painting, allowing the hues to mingle on the canvas and convey the pent-up emotions she had harbored. The trails she had once traversed with joy now became her refuge. Solitary moments in nature provided her with an opportunity to reconnect with her former self, untainted by the world's clamor. Engaging in these activities seemed to evoke memories of a pre-chaotic time, when she possessed a serene sense of purpose. While strolling through a nearby park one afternoon with the fresh air filling her lungs, Olivia sensed an unfamiliar tranquility descending upon her. The setting sun bathed the path in a golden light, and for the first time in months, she embraced a serene acceptance of her current circumstances. Though her life had not, it turned out as she had envisioned, but she had begun to embrace her past and acknowledge the mistakes she had made. It wasn't flawless, but it belonged to her. While strolling along, her thoughts drifted towards the future, free from regret or resentment. Olivia paused for a moment, smiling to herself. She realized that this wasn't the end of her story, but the start of a new chapter. The journey ahead would be challenging, yet for the first time in a while, she felt prepared to confront it, knowing that whatever came her way, she would face it with determination. As recounted by a memoir writer, Olivia's path to healing wasn't swift, but it was vital. Each small step she took propelled her towards a new version of herself, one that was resilient and more self-reflective than her previous self. The self-assurance she once exuded remained, but it was now tempered by the wisdom derived from the painful experiences of her past. She no longer sought validation from others or fleeting thrills. Instead, Olivia had embraced, having acquired a newfound appreciation for her true self, flaws and all. Olivia had reached a deeper understanding of love and stability in the months following her divorce. She had come to realize that genuine love transcended fleeting passion and temporary escapes, encompassing elements of commitment, respect, and above all, trust. Despite severing ties with Alex, Olivia saw this as a necessary step that provided her with the clarity to discern what truly held value. While she felt the absence of the life they once shared, she acknowledged the importance of releasing the past in order to facilitate her healing process. Though still navigating the aftermath of her mistakes, Olivia reframed them as stepping stones for personal growth rather than burdens to bear. By forgiving herself and embracing her pain as a vital part of her narrative, she refused to remain stagnant. Standing at the brink of a fresh chapter in her life, Olivia understood that challenges lay ahead, including setbacks, moments of uncertainty, and occasional visits from her past returning once again. She was fully prepared this time. She approached each challenge with determination, recognizing that every new day was a chance to shape her life according to her wishes. The woman who had previously felt adrift was now navigating her way forward, embracing a future ripe with potential, one small step at a time.